You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Let me start with the emotion of the game before we get into the nuance of the matchups. Auburn hasn't won in Baton Rouge since 1999. We know that. How much of a storyline is that sort of an albatross around the neck of this program or the fan base?
You know, you heard so much more about it in years past. In 2019, it was a big thing, and obviously LSU was so good. In 2017, Auburn really felt like it was a lock to finally go down there and win it. They had such a big lead and fell apart. I mean, it obviously becomes a big talking point every two seasons when Auburn goes down there to take on LSU. But obviously this year it's a little different, right? Because Auburn now, everybody was talking about the quarterback battle, the quarterback situation. So it feels a little different. It's not the main headline going into it like it has been for the last several years that Auburn's gone down there.
Now, what about the last 2 weeks where the first 2 weeks of the season, Auburn looked like a juggernaut. And we know the competition was different. In the last 2 weeks, lose a heartbreaker at Penn State, and then sort of a letdown. You nearly get clipped by Georgia State. What should we think? What is the feeling around this program right now?
I don't think there's a whole lot of confidence. And obviously it depends on who you ask, and players are kind of focused and motivated. A lot of people think that, all right, Georgia State, that was rough because they're focused on LSU, and that may be the case because they went up to Happy Valley and went toe-to-toe with a pretty good Penn State team. But all in all, there's a lot of confused Auburn fans right now. They don't know what to feel. They don't know what to think because what's happening right now is so different than what they felt the last 8 seasons with Gus Malzahn. Brian Harsin is a full 180 from what we've seen the past 8 years in virtually everything, including, the firing of a wide receiver coach over the course of the weekend, just 4 games into this guy's tenure. So there's just a lot of things. There's a lot of no-nonsense stuff going on right now, and I think it's kind of resetting a culture. And look, Auburn fans don't really know how to feel about it. I think some are excited and are willing to kind of go through the growing pains of shifting this culture and this expectation because I think a lot of folks realize Auburn kind of needs a shock to the system to kind of change things from the way that they've been. And then I think you see other folks that they see what's happening and it's so different and they think it's a total mess and it's a total disaster and that, athletic director Alan Green made the wrong decision. So emotions are all over the place, Matt.
Zac Blackerby is with us. He's on Twitter at @ZBlackerby. Make sure you're subscribed up to the Locked on Auburn podcast every single day. Great info, especially this week heading into LSU Auburn. I got to ask about quarterback, obviously. So who is and who should be the starter against LSU Saturday night?
Man, I think I would be surprised if it wasn't Bo Nix. I know the storylines write themselves, right? If it's TJ Finley and, Finley's got the chance to go back against his former team and win for this new team for the first time in 2 decades. I mean, what a story that would be for Finley. And, it'd be a great opportunity if he gets in to do that. But I just have a hard time. Look, man, I'm still shocked that they benched Bo Nix against Georgia State. I'm still blown away. I've rewatched that game multiple times just to kind of figure out what went wrong. And whenever they pull Bo, I'm still just shocked that it happened. So I think they go back to
Why, Zach?
really,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but why
Sure.
was it so shocking?
Because just the last name and, Bo Nix is Mr. Auburn, right? He has been his whole life. And I thought the gap between him and Finley was too big where it wasn't ever a legitimate option. And he proved that he was. And also, I think Finley proved that gap is a little bit smaller than a lot of people thought. And heck, maybe Finley's better. Maybe Finley kind of gets the leg up on him on this week. But the longer it goes before a guy is named, I think it benefits Bo Nix more and more. And I guess the devil's advocate argument for that would be, well, why would Harsin reveal who his starting quarterback is? Because then LSU, right now they're having to prepare for 2 guys. So I get that. But the fact that nothing's leaked yet or anything like that, and just talking to folks within the program, I don't think that they know yet. And that's a really, really interesting conversation to have because I don't know if they're going to know when they leave to go to Baton Rouge this weekend. I think it's a fascinating storyline to look at.
Zach, based on what Brian Harsin wants to do offensively, who is the better fit?
I think it's Finley. And a lot of people said that when he committed to the Tigers, the Auburn Tigers, that is. And so the interesting thing is, though, everyone then asked the question because we all agreed, okay, with what Harsin did and what he found success with your less mobile quarterbacks, but quarterbacks that have the arm talent and the arm strength to make defenders defend every blade of grass, which Finley has. I think we all can agree on that. He's got a cannon back there. That's how he won at Boise. He didn't really win it with mobile quarterbacks like what Bo Nix did. And even when Bo Nix was playing well in the first two games of the season, you're against Akron and Alabama State, they didn't move Bo Nix around in the pocket. He's like, he looks like a statue back there, and that's not what Bo Nix's strength is. And so he's so focused on improving his passing game and understanding these passing patterns that are happening in this offense. Finley seemed to get that a little bit quicker in just the short amount of time that we saw him against Georgia State this past weekend. So, yeah, I guess in short, the answer to that question is Finley. But the timing is so interesting because when he came in, and Finley had all the comments saying he's expecting to fight for the starting job, and nobody really believed him. And now it's here, and it's like, oh, maybe he is going to start on Saturday.
It's going to be fascinating, that's for certain. The thing we know, which is a given, is that Auburn's rushing offense is really good. Does LSU defensively have a shot at slowing or limiting this Auburn rushing offense?
Matt, it's interesting, and I was talking about this when I was recording a Locked on Auburn episode. There's so much talk this week about the Auburn quarterback position that the irony is I don't think it really matters because if Auburn can't run the football, they don't stand a chance in Baton Rouge Saturday night. So I think Tank Bigsby, I think the freshman phenom Jarquez Hunter, who's really just been a gem that Brian Harsin found late in the recruiting class, those two guys have been incredible. And they've really been able to run the ball at will against everybody unless they just stack the box, which I think is what LSU is going to have to do against Auburn. And then I think they're going to kind of dare Bo Nix or TJ Finley to beat them through the air. That's kind of what I'm expecting. But, I mean, if LSU plays similar to what they did against Mississippi State, where they just kind of put 3 or 4 guys on the line and tell them to go, I think Auburn's going to run like crazy. But you got to think they're going to have a different game plan. I think they're going to play a lot of guys close to the line of scrimmage. LSU doesn't blitz a lot, as you know. It's going to be interesting to see if that changes or if they just put guys close to the line of scrimmage to kind of say, hey, I dare you to pass the ball. But that's going to be the matchup to watch, especially when Auburn's on offense.
Man, you got two polar opposite teams offensively. Auburn's going to try to run it, and LSU can't run it, so they're going to try to throw it. So how does Auburn defend the LSU passing offense, which has had a lot of success, man? So as we know, some really good athletes on the outside, but LSU, like Auburn, though, has really been one-dimensional. It's just the opposite.
Yeah, I don't know if they do, Matt. I think that's why I think LSU is going to win this game, because I think Auburn's going to have a really hard time defending the pass unless just something clicks in that defensive backs room between last week and this week where they just fully grasp what Derek Mason wants them to do. Of course, Auburn's new defensive coordinator that came over from Vanderbilt this offseason. And, he kind of put in this system, and all summer we were told, as media members and fans, that they're going to run this attacking defense. There's going to be all these different blitzes and stunts, and they're going to run all this different stuff in the back end. And we haven't really seen any of that, even against Penn State. I think a lot of folks were okay with not seeing it against the first two, cupcake non-conference teams. But then when they went to Happy Valley, it's like, it'd be 3rd and 8, and it's an obvious passing formation, and Auburn's sending 3, and they couldn't get home. And so you got to think they're going to have to blitz more to put pressure on LSU's passing game. But then on the back end, they're still leaving guys open. And it's not an athletic thing, because I think Auburn has the athletes. I think they have a very talented defensive back room, both corners and safeties and the nickel position. It's just not everyone is getting covered. And can they fix that, a few weeks into the season? Sure, I absolutely think they can. Can they fix it in a week? I don't know.
Well, it's just going to be so interesting, man, because it doesn't matter who they've gone against. LSU has struggled to run the football. So can either of these sort of one-dimensional offenses find offense? It's going to be a fascinating way that it plays out. If it is a close game, a lot of times, Zach, games like this can come down to a special teams play. Fill us in. How's Auburn on special teams?
Yeah, I think both of these teams have really, really good kickers. You and I talked about that earlier in the week. But, Anders Carlson, the younger brother of legendary Auburn kicker Daniel Carlson, who's now getting things done with the Raiders. He's been pretty much automatic. He missed one, a very rare miss by him last week, but I think he still made 3 or 4. So he's been really good. Auburn's blocked a field goal. Auburn's blocked a punt, scored on both of those. So they're able to get things done on special teams. So I think that honestly may be the strength of this Auburn team so far this season.
He's on Twitter at Z Blackerby. I'll give him a follow. Auburn Network, Auburn Wire, also the Locked On Auburn podcast. Make sure that you're subscribed up there. If there's a blueprint for Brian Harsin Saturday, I know you just said you think LSU will win, but if there is a blueprint for Auburn to get it done, how does that look?
I think they just run the ball, Matt. I think they run the ball, and whoever their quarterback is, you keep them upright and you keep them comfortable. I really like Auburn's offensive line this year. They've really kind of blown me away, and I think they need to continue doing that Saturday night. I think it's going to be a type of game where if Auburn wins this, you need a career night from Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter. And then, the veteran running back in the room, Sean Shivers, he's had some impressive plays during his time at Auburn. I think he's kind of been shifted to this gadget guy. He got the ball twice in his return. He missed 2 weeks. He finally made his return back against Georgia State. Only got 2 rushes. Both were off jet sweeps. So, maybe they're setting some play action off of that. We'll see. But, yeah, I think he needs to create a game plan that's very quarterback-friendly. And then on defense, you just kind of hope that it all comes together.
Hey, man, I know you've been around Auburn a long time and around this rivalry a long time. Is there a game for you or a moment or a memory for you that sticks out above the rest?
How about the field goal game? Well, I guess that would have been – it was at Auburn. So I guess it would have been 2015. Sean White was Auburn's quarterback, and all Auburn did was kick field goals. And then LSU, won the game, and then they're like, oh, they snapped it after the clock hit 0. That's a recent one that I was talking about with a buddy today.
Yeah, it was 2016. That was the last game Les Miles ever coached. 20.
That was 16. That's right. I forgot about Les getting fired after that. Yeah, that's a crazy one.
2015 was the game where Leonard Fournette was flipping dudes over his shoulders at the goal line and everything.
Right.
That was 2015 was Leonard was he was special that year. It's a shame for LSU. It didn't end better than it did, but nonetheless.
Right.
Hey, man, looking forward to Saturday, hoping for a great game like this one always seems to deliver. We appreciate some time, man. All the best.
Hey, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.